Hey everyone, Tina Hogan Grant here with my Cuppa A Natter that I like to do twice a month on a Monday. I like to bring authors into my home. We talk about books, writing, life as an author, and whatever comes to mind. And tonight, Susie Black is joining me. How are you this evening, my dear?
I'm doing terrific. How are you, Tina?
I am good. I'm excited to talk to you. I'm excited to talk about your books. But before we get started, I do want you to just give me and the readers a little background to whatever you want to share with the rest of the world.
Okay. Well, I am the author of 5 published books so far in the Holly Swimsuit Mystery Series. I write humorous murder mysteries, and they all take place in the Los Angeles swimwear industry. And like my protagonist, I came from a swimwear background, and they always say, write what you know, and I do. And now I sort of kill off people that maybe in real life I would have liked to have knocked off. It's very cathartic.
I like that. So, okay, this series, it is called the Holly Swimsuit Mystery.
Right.
And there are 4 books in the series.
Well, right now I have 5 published books. 4 of them are mysteries, and one of them is Rag Lady. It's really the prequel to the series, and it is honestly, if I were to really call it what it is, it's a fictionalized version of how I got into the apparel industry, and that led to being into a writing gig.
Oh.
Yep. So all of my books are standalone. You don't have to read them in any particular order.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
And book number 6 will be published on September the 4th
of this year.
Right.
Excellent. We got some people joining us. I do want to pop them up and say hello to them. And readers, again, I am talking to Susie Black. I do want to mention, Susie, that is your pen name. Susie Black is your pen name. You are known in the group as Holly Schwartz, correct?
That's me.
Okay, Holly
Legally,
Schwartz.
I'm Holly Schwartz, but my protagonist's first name is Holly, and I thought it would be a little weird if you had the same name as the author. So the way I picked my pen name was I wanted to pick something I could actually remember. So Susie is my middle name, and Black is the translation of Schwartz from German to English.
Oh, that's good to know. I learn something new every time on these chats. Now I know. But okay, so Susie Black is the pen name, and you've probably seen her as Holly Schwartz in the group. If you have any questions for Susie, go ahead and put them in the comments. And as you know, I will get to as many as I can. Let's say hello to some of our readers before we continue. We have Karen here. She says hello. And then Carol Noose is here. She says hello.
Oh, I can see them.
Yeah. Huh?
How cool.
Yeah. Renee is here. She says hello, Tina and Susie.
Look at what Connie Rosenbaum wrote. She's nothing like I pictured Susie to be.
Lori Chasco is here. Connie, she says hello, everyone. Karen says, I love your book cover. Peggy Patterson is here. Karen Gearing is here. Hold on. I saw some other ones here. Hold on.
Renee is here.
Renee is here.
Barbara Miller.
Nothing like the picture. Susie to be.
I would love to know what, maybe you can ask Connie what she pictured me as, since I'm not what you thought I was.
Well, she is right here, so she can answer that question. I want to just clear the screen real quick. All right, let's begin with number 1. When did the first book of your swimsuit mystery come out?
That would be Death by Sample Size.
Okay, you can hold it up higher. Let's see the cover. This way. There we go. Up, up. There we go. I love these skeletons.
Thank you. Death by Sample Size actually came out June 9th in 2021. Yesterday was my 3rd year book birthday.
Well, happy birthday to the book.
Yes,
So
yes,
in 3 years, you've written 6 books, and 5 have been published.
correct. And I just turned in book number 7 to my editor. Fingers crossed I get a contract.
And fingers crossed you do it. Do you have any idea how many books you're going to put in this series?
I'm sorry?
Do you have any idea how many books will be in the series?
Nope. I just keep writing them. I kept a journal during my sales career. And in that daily journal, I kept notes of all the quirky people I came in contact with and the very crazy situations I got myself into and out of. And all of the things in my journal are the basis and the foundation of everything I write. And, I was in the business for a long time, so I got a lot of stories to tell.
Well, it looks like it's going to be going on for a long time. This is the only series you've written, right? You have no other books other than this series, just the Swimsuit Mystery, correct? There is no other books?
Well, the only book in publication now that is not a mystery is this book. Can you see it?
Yeah, hold it up.
Rag Lady?
Higher. There we go. Up, up. There we go.
I'm really terrible at this. Good grief. Up.
So when you started this series, I want to know what inspired it, and also, are the same characters in each book?
Well, as a sister author, I'm sure you heard the expression, write what you know. So I did. And all of my characters are based on people I knew. And I write in the first person. And honestly, the protagonist is me. I don't think it's any state secret that I'm her.
Okay.
She is the me I always wanted to be. And I incorporated a lot of my personality traits into the protagonist. And I'll tell you one very quirky one. I inherited some wonderful things from my grandmother. Love of perfume, her sense of humor. But I also inherited one of her weirdest traits. When she would hear somebody had died, she would laugh. It was a nervous habit. And I do the same thing. So I decided to embrace it. And I have made that a focal point of my protagonist. So when she discovers a dead body, she laughs. And people find it hilarious. My readers write, good for you. You embrace something pretty wacky.
So you kind of put a twist in Cozy Mysteries. You add humor to the Cozy Mystery.
Given the way the world is today, I am very happy that I give my readers the gift of laughter.
And we need it. We need it.
Laughter is the best medicine.
Yeah, I agree. Let's talk about the covers. Can you hold up your latest one in the series, which is Death by a Cutting Table?
Right.
That is book number 4, right?
That is book number 4.
Okay. Okay, you've got to tell me the story about the skeletons. The skeletons are very unique. And I love the humorous. And you can tell right away by looking at the book, number one, by the title, that it is a mystery, a murder mystery, but that there's humor in there.
Thank you. I've achieved my goal then. I felt that, to me, having come from the world of sales, a book cover should catch their eye. A book cover should tell the reader a hint of what the story is about. And coming from the fashion world, the thing that I think grabs everybody's attention is the color. Now, fortunately, in this genre, graphics are what book covers really are. And the skeleton was first brought out in Death by Sample Size.
Okay.
And I had a devil of a time convincing the publisher that this was going to be a winner. They thought I was out of my mind. And I said, yeah, I want a skeleton and I want her in a bikini. And they said, yeah, right. So I prevailed. And you know what? Skeleton she's got a fan club all of her own. I mean, we had a contest to name the skeleton about after my third book. And then when we did Death by Surfboard, the victim was a man. So we had to give our Miss Bones a boyfriend. So we had another contest. And I have to tell you, it was hilarious. We got so many suggestions. I don't have it even here in front of me. He had a first name, a last name, a junior, a senior. I mean, it went on and on and on because so many people wanted to get involved. It was fantastic. But I've had many readers tell me that they were so intrigued by the book covers that they bought the book just to see what the heck was inside such a crazy book cover.
So the book covers work. It got their attention.
Oh, heck yeah.
They picked it up and they bought it. Now, at first, you said that your publisher was not sold on the idea of putting the skeletons on the cover.
Not at all.
Now,
they thought I was out of my mind.
Did they design these skeletons, or is it drawings that you already had that you gave to them?
No. What the process is with this publisher is when you get your contract, there's a space on a document you fill out as to what you would like to have for the book cover. I gave them an extremely detailed vision for every one of my book covers. And like I said, they were not so keen on the idea of a skeleton in a bikini before, but once they saw the reaction from the fans and the readers, they were on board right away. I'll tell you that much.
They realized they were wrong. They should have listened to you in the first place.
Right? You know, I give them credit because they went kicking and screaming, but they did it. So to their credit, they trusted me.
Right. I think they're beautiful. You did a good job. I want to pause for a few minutes. I see some more people joining us, and I also see some questions I want to pop up. Shengang is here. She says hello, and she likes the book covers. Always gets my attention. Faith is here. She says your series looks great. Lori has a question for you. Lori Chasco. She says, who inspired you to write?
Well, I think that's a two-part question. I have a degree in journalism, which I will promise you I had to forget everything I learned in college because being a reporter is the antithesis of creative writing. Who, what, where, when, and why belongs in the New York phone book. It does not belong in this. So I had to undo everything, which was not so easy. But what inspired me and who got me into it, two people. My maternal grandmother and my dad. My maternal grandmother, I will tell you, in Rag Lady, if you ever read it, there's a section on how I really got into the apparel industry was by accident. And I had a terrible interview with a newspaper, and it was like, well, honey. And I said, well, no, that's not my name. And they kept saying, well, honey, you know, and they said, well, you know, all the girls in our paper start in the secretarial pool. And I grabbed my resume and said, yeah, not this one. And I cried all the way home. But then fate took my hand and I went to visit my family in Florida. My dad was a salesman in the clothing business, and he needed some help at a trade show. And he called me. And I said, yeah, okay, I don't think so. But, you know, it's your dad, you go. And at the end of it, he gave me an hour's worth of training and left me alone for 3 days while he took care of a family emergency. And I had a big stack of orders when he came back, and graduate school didn't seem like a good option. So my Nana said to me, well, take the job. If you don't like it, quit. I'll bet you graduate school will still be there the following year. She was a smart cookie, my Nana, and she was right. And there were no women who did what I did, where I did it. I did this in the deep South. And they would say, what kind of daddy you have, girl, let you do a job like this? And I'd say, well, you know, I work for my dad. But I was inspired to see if I could combine my writing desire with my career. And it worked out because of that journal. And my grandma, my Nana, told me to keep a journal, write it all down, have a note every day, even if it's 2 lines of what you did, who you saw, anything unusual, and all of that is right here.
And that now, do you still keep journals? Do you still write something? You do?
Yeah. I do.
How many years? How many years do you have of journals?
Well, I'll put it to you this way. When I moved back from Atlanta to Los Angeles, I had a carton of 50 notebooks filled with my journals.
Wow.
And they're all in the garage now, but I take them out. In fact, today I had a phone call from an old boss who saw on social media that I was now an author. And he said, did you kill me yet? I said, no, not yet.
But it's coming. Now, you said that your characters in your books are based on people you know. Do these people you know they're in your books?
Yeah.
Oh, they do.
Some of them, oh, are you kidding? Some of them get insulted if I tell them, no, you're not in the book. And some of them want to guess who the victim is. I had, in book 1, it was a buying office buyer. And everybody in the industry that I was still friendly with called me. Is that so-and-so? Nope. And, you know, they couldn't figure it out. They were going crazy trying to figure it out. And finally, I told them who it was. And I went, really? Oh, God, yeah, we hated her.
Oh, that's cool. I want to pop this up from Peggy. This is really cute. Back to the skeletons. She wrote, my lady friend and, oh, wait, excuse me. My lady, oh, come on. There we go. My lady friend and I actually have a skeleton whose name is Miss Bones. And then she added, we dress her up in different outfits during the season. I think that's really cute. Peggy.
Oh, my God, I love that.
I want to know, Peggy, is that a life-size skeleton that you have? I'm curious. It has to be if you dress it up. And I want to put up some more questions that I saw.
You know, I have something to tell you. I was just in New Mexico with my friend, and I bought a piece of paper mache artwork. Can I go get it? It's a skeleton.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Don't go away. I'll be right back.
Okay, we're going to wait for her to come back. I'm going to look for some questions while she comes back. Hold on a second. Oh, Peggy says, yes, it's full size, full life size. You got to post some pictures, Peggy, of Miss Bones. I'd love to see them. And then she says, sometimes we'll take her for a ride in the Do you go, okay, Peggy, do you go in the carpool lane? I want to know if you're by yourself. I want to know. Okay, let me see this. Oh, let me get that down. Dana says, how awesome. Let me see. Hold up higher. Oh, very cute.
I bought this in a little town called Corrales in New Mexico, and it's a local artist.
Uh-huh.
But the skeleton is, that young lady and I should have a conversation because I like what she's doing.
I love that.
I love that.
Do you have, like, I mean, a lot of authors do like swag, you know, whether it be bookmarks, key rings. Do you have any kind of skeleton swags that you give to readers or have?
Not yet. Well, the only thing that I have has nothing to do with the skeleton. Because I came out of the swimmer business, I created a swimsuit fit guide. It's a very funny guide. I must tell you, as you can see, I'm not quiet, shy, and demure.
Uh-huh.
And if you can't laugh, and believe me, I have a mug, and my very smart aleck Nana gave it to me when I went into the swimwear business. And the mug says, "Things could be worse. We could be trying on swimsuits."
Very true.
So I put that inside this fit guide because people didn't, it's a horrible thing. Oh, I hate trying on swimsuits. And I said, well, if you know what size you wear and what kind of body type you have, it's a snap, no problem.
Well,
So
I think
I've tried really hard to incorporate my history into my books. And I think that writing about the industry that I was in for decades really gives it an air of authenticity that I think that readers really appreciate.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah, I totally see that. And I think you should do what Peggy does and ride around with a full-size skeleton in your car.
When you think about it, if they're in you could fake them out when you're in the diamond lane, and you could have.
Yeah, that's the question I was asking. I just saw it. It says, Tina, what did you ask me? I asked Peggy if she rode in the car. We call it the carpool lane. Well, you're in California too.
Right.
The carpool lane with the skeleton, because then she could, get in the, in here in we're both in California. You are
Right.
in Palm Springs. I'm up in the mountains, but the carpool lane over in California does diddly squat. It doesn't
Yes.
do anything.
You're right. Right. Tina, did I answer the last question adequately about how I got my characters and stuff?
Oh, sure. Go ahead. I'm looking for
Okay.
the question while you do that. Go ahead.
Well, in addition to the characters being people that I know, what I've done is I've sort of taken a literary license and taken their personality, and either if it's a villain, I made them worse than they ever were, or if they were a nice guy, I made them a lot nicer than maybe they should have been. But I think that the one thing that I really try to do in my character development is to give each character something that is all their own. Like one character talks with her finger on her nose when she's thinking hard, and another one will look over her glasses, and these are continuing characters, and I've worked very hard to give them all a separate, distinct look so that people feel like they know them.
They're unique in some way. They have their own. Yeah, I like that. Every character does need that, because you don't want your characters to just be cardboard. They have to have, whether it be hobbies, bad habits, traits, like you said, looking over the glasses, being snobby. They all need to have distinct characteristics. So I like that. I do. I like that. I got a couple of questions I want to pop up. Renee's asking, are there any other authors in your family?
No, not that I know of.
Do you have brothers or sisters?
I do. I have a sister and a brother, but they're not authors.
Do they read your books?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my two biggest fans, though, are the Hubs and my son.
Oh, how old is your son?
But he's old, because so am I. My son's going to be 37, and every time I say it, I go, God, how is that possible?
It's the same age as my son. He's going to be 37 too. I'm like, what happened?
Isn't that the darn truth?
Yeah.
But the one thing about my son is he does not like the idea that I use a pen name. He is very offended that I don't use Holly Schwartz. And if I send him a manuscript, just before the book is even published, he tells me, he crosses it off and writes in, Holly Schwartz wrote this book. There is no Susie Black. Kids.
Oh, wow. But he enjoys your books. He enjoys your work.
He does. He
I
does.
know he's super proud of Mama.
I think he is. What I think is so funny, Amazon has my book in a lot of countries.
Uh-huh.
And they don't translate the book. So the blurb is in, let's say, Polish, but the book is in English.
Oh, God.
Makes no sense.
Leave it to Amazon. I've got one more question from Renee. She's asking, who is your favorite author to read, and do you read the same genre that you write?
I probably could spend the entire hour listing all my favorite authors, but the late great Joan Hess is probably my favorite, followed by Carolyn Haynes. And I do read the same genre that I write. I read mysteries in total, but I tend to read the ones that are a little snarky, that have an attitude, because I think it's fun.
Yeah. I like that. Is there any other genres you read other than mystery?
I read some women's fiction. I do. I'm not too keen on science fiction, and I know that romance is the number one genre out there, but not
There's
so much.
so much of it. I mean, I like writing romances. I enjoy reading romances, not 24/7, but I kind of mix up my genres. But it's saturated. The market for romance is saturated, and in order to stand out, it's very hard to get. You really, really have to push your books. I've written the Sabella series, Slater. It does okay, but if you don't continually put it out there, it will get lost. And I call it.
I think you're right.
Get lost.
One
constantly talk about it. Even if the book came out, like Slater book 1 came out, I think 2020, 4 years ago, I still have to talk about it to keep people remembering about it or find new readers for it. Otherwise, it'll just, go away.
Well, you're right. Well, I have a colleague who writes paranormal romance. And the first book she wrote, honestly, I thought it was kind of silly, and I went, eh. But the second book, I loved it. And the premise was that there's this romance author, and she's typing away, and she looks over at the sofa, and two of her characters are sitting on the couch. And because they want her to have a fella in her real life, and she doesn't. And they're not going back into the book until she finds somebody that she can love. I thought it was hilarious.
That's great.
So now time marches on, and this same author friend of mine and I are doing a collaboration. We are taking her characters and my characters and putting them into a story.
Oh, that'll be fun.
It's going to be fun. The nuts and bolts of it have been interesting to try and mesh together, right. but it's working.
I love that. I kind of did that with my Sabella series. It wasn't two different authors, but I put myself into my book, and that was really I have the Tammy Meller's trilogy, then I have the Sabella series, and the last book I joined them together. And
cool.
It was a lot of fun to do. I really enjoyed doing that because the trilogy is based on me, and I am Tammy in the book, so I put Tammy in the Sabella series, and it turned out great. I love the way
I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, it turned out really well. So I love this idea. Do you have a release date or a title or anything for the book yet?
Yes, as a matter of fact, Death by Chapter and Verse.
Okay. And that's going to be the next one in the Mystery Swimsuit?
That is the collaboration. The next one out in September is Death by Jelly Beans. And the murder victim is a 6 foot tall Easter bunny that is in a department store.
Oh, wow. Okay.
A lot of fun. And I get some good comments on it so far with a few of the ARC readers.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. I mean, it sounds really, I like humor in reading, and the fact that you mix mystery and humor together, I'm already sold on the idea. I like that idea. And like you said, we all need a laugh nowadays.
Boy, isn't that true? Although I have been convinced to add a little bit of what I call woo-woo. So I added 2 ghosts into a couple my last 2 books, but they're very funny ghosts. And it's a mother and a daughter, and they are after the protagonist because they can't go off into where they need to be until their husband and dad, respectively, find somebody to love. And they picked me, or my protagonist, actually. But
Right.
she's me, I'm her, what the heck. And the ghosts are a riot. I mean, I sit here and I type away and I'm laughing at my own jokes. My husband will walk by and I'll say, "Is this funny?"
I've got to ask, what are the ghost names?
I'm sorry?
What are the ghost names?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't remember.
Okay.
Karine and Janelle. They're from the Louisiana Bayou.
Oh, I like that. All right. I want to talk about your writing habits, but after you give us a treat and read from one of your books. So
I will.
Are you ready to do that?
I am.
All righty. I'm going to hand it over to you, and it is all yours.
Okay. I'm going to give a little bit of background so that there's some context. Death by Cutting Table is the story of a terrible man who was the head of a company, a swimwear company, and he's murdered. And the excerpt that I'm going to read is at his funeral. Now, you wouldn't think a funeral is funny, but this one is. Okay, shall I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Right.
Sorry, yours, hon.
All right. The life-size color photograph of Butch Oldham resting on a large easel in the middle of a raised dais stood twice as tall as Butch in real life. He still looked the same as Humpty Dumpty, only one now on drugs. An elaborate, oversized marble urn with gold leaf flower-shaped fleur-de-lis handles sat on a tall, narrow table next to the photo. Surrounded by gorgeous floral arrangements, the ostentatious urn held the last earthly remains of Benjamin Butch Oldham. The photograph and the urn were placed in the front row of mourners and adjacent to a lectern. 4 sets of spotlights aimed at the photograph featuring Butch Oldham, all decked out in a snazzy tuxedo. Humpty Dumpty has gone formal. Butch smiled arrogantly down on the capacity crowd of mourners packed inside the mortuary chapel. Even in death, Butch Oldham still knew the way to work a room. Butch's adult children and ex-wife were dressed in black and seated together on the left side of the chapel in the front row on the right end. His current wife, Kelly, and her friend Diane sat together directly across from the first family on the right side of the chapel in the front row on the left end. The modern day version of the Hatfields versus the McCoys glared at each other. The mermaid employees sat together in the back 2 rows. My friend and colleague, Queenie Levine, and I sat next to one another, 2 seats closest to the exit. Queenie pointed to the photo of Butch. My God, check out that man. Humpty Dumpty goes to the prom. Queenie giggled. Too bad. The photo didn't feature him in those lacy lady underpants that I found him with when he was killed. I clamped a fist over my mouth as a vision of Butch in those panties inserted itself into my brain. I made the universal cut of the throat sign to shut Queenie up. Fan-freaking-tastic. I needed a comedian to help me along like I needed a hernia. When Queenie cracked that joke, I naturally looked up and made the mistake of glancing at Butch's picture. I tried stifling my giggles. Good luck, as if. I sputtered like a car engine with faulty spark plugs with a snort that came out someplace between a cough and a laugh. Queenie rolled her eyes. You have a hanky or something, or should I just keep my hand over your mouth for the rest of the service? I shot her my fiercest death ray glare. Hopefully she got the hint. Oh, sure, like she would. To be on the safe side, I waved at the aisle bisecting the 2 sides of the chapel. Switch seats with me. Let me sit on the end. I might need to run out if I can't control myself. I angled my head at Butch's photo and sniffed with righteous indignation. You were raised better than that. No matter how much you hated him, you shouldn't speak ill of the dead. Queenie wrinkled her nose as if she'd taken a whiff of yesterday's garbage. Why be a hypocrite? Nothing's changed. If you're an asshole all your life, you're still an asshole when you're dead. Queenie pointed her finger at the urn. Boy, talk about tacky. Looks like something one of those billionaire sheiks from the Middle East would pick to decorate their mega mansions with on Rodeo Drive. I hiccuped a laugh. Butch took the ashes to ashes line a bit too literally. I whispered through my guffaws, I'll bet the murderer is thrilled Butch's body was toasted to dust. No way to dig him up in case the cops find something later and need to confirm it. Queen reminded me of my Nana as she tapped the tip of her nose. No, I hadn't thought of that, but you're absolutely right. She dipped her head at Butch's two wives. They probably fought over who got the pleasure of striking the match. I deadpanned. Gee, I wonder whose mantle Butch is going to decorate. They might have to draw straws to be fair. Queenie snickered. Well, if you ask me, they ought to flush Butch down the toilet like a dead goldfish. It's the most fitting end to the miserable bastard. The choice was either to burst a gut or burst out laughing. I chose door number 2. Queenie put her hand over my mouth. I resisted the urge to bite her finger. 2 old lady mourners in the row in front of us turned around to express their disapproval with a cluck of their tongues. I responded by sticking my tongue out and favoring them with a middle finger salute. Jeez, can't anyone take a joke?
Oh my God. That was hilarious. Oh, I actually been laughing.
No one goes to a funeral quite like my characters.
But I love the sense of humor in your writing. I've got to put some of these comments up. Carol says, laughing out loud. Carol, that was. Carol says, great reading, interesting, and treating so funny. Love the cuss words.
Oh, good.
Says,
I'm really glad they did. I worried about that, but what the heck.
I love it. Carol says, so funny. I'm loving it. Peggy says, you have me rolling in laughter. Great humor. Love the sense of humor. This is so funny. This is so funny. One more. Love it. Love it. Thank you so much for that read. That made me laugh.
I think we have a winner, ladies and gentlemen.
I loved it. I loved it. I gotta wipe my. I got like. Okay. All right. Your writing techniques. I want to just get into a little into your head and your writing techniques. Number 1, Dana asked it earlier. Dana Duplantis, and I know I can't find it now, but she did ask, do you have a special place where you like to write?
I do. I took over the den. It's now my writing place.
You've earned it.
Oh, yes. I threw the husband out. He watches TV in the bedroom now. But as my mother always said, how you train them in the beginning, they're like puppies. You train them, you get them at the end. So I said, go in the other room. And he said, yes, dear. So I write in the family room. I have my computer that I'm talking to you on now.
Right.
I don't have a set schedule. There are some authors that they write from 8 to 10 every morning. That's not me. I am a night owl, not a early riser. My husband's the early riser. It's amazing we had a child, but that's another story.
Okay, go on.
But I usually write late afternoon into the night till about 10, 11 o'clock. And then I have a little phrase that I say to myself when my eyes are at half mast. I say, well, tomorrow's another day. But I try to write, I try to leave off in a place where it makes sense so that I know what to write next.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. And how long does it usually take you to, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions right here. Number 1, how long does it take you to usually write one of the books? And do you plot your books or just let the characters tell you the story?
The average time it takes me to write a book, I want to say about 90 days.
Wow, that's good. That's quick. How many pages are in your books, average?
My books, the printed books are about 250 pages each.
400?
250.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Good Lord, girl. I'm the one that can't hear. 250.
Okay. And that's like the normal size of a book, average size.
Right.
That's good.
Right.
3 months. And how about your characters? Do they talk to you or do you plot your work?
I'm sort of a combination plate. I write a rough outline I basically, by the time I'm ready to start typing, I know who the murder victim is. I know how the murder is going to take place. And I know usually I like to have three potential murderers to, to select from. I know how it's going to end and I know how it's going to begin. But the middle, I let the characters
Oh, there you go.
do that. But they know that if they have to, whatever they pick, they have got to get to the end that I have chosen. And if they don't, bad, three things can happen. Two of them are really bad. One, I just take it back. Two, I write them out. Or three, I kill them off. So they know they have to behave. So I give them a lot of latitude, but I'm still the boss.
I like that. I like that. See, I can't do that with my characters. They lead the way. I tried to go the other way. They won't let me. So I got to learn from you.
Do you keep a very detailed outline?
I don't do anything. I don't do an outline. I don't plot. I don't
You
even
just
know how
sit there and go by the seat of your pants, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how the book's going to end. I have no clue. And the only one book I did try to plot didn't work. It went in totally the opposite direction. The character told me, no, I would never do that. This is what I would do. I'm like, fine. I won't do that again.
Well, you know the old joke, doctor, it hurts when I do this. Don't do this. You know, if it didn't work for you, don't do it again.
All right, I'm going to put up some more questions in regards to your writing. Here's one for you. Do you snack while writing? And if so, what is your favorite?
I don't often snack while I'm writing. I might have something right beforehand, and I love graham crackers.
Ah, okay.
Love graham crackers, and I like chocolate chip cookies. But graham crackers are something I keep in the house, and they're not too fattening, and I can have a few.
There you go. And then I'm also, this might have been answered just a little bit ago. Do your characters talk to you?
Constantly.
Constantly.
They don't shut up.
What about, some people call this writer's block. Some people say it's my characters aren't talking to me. When that happens, how do you do it? How do you solve that?
How do I deal with the characters when they talk to me?
No, if they're not talking to you, some will call it writer's block. When the words aren't flowing, do you do anything?
Yeah, I take a walk.
You leave.
I do. I take a walk. In fact, I am a walker. I walk about 3 miles a day during the course of the day, and I very often do my plotting while I'm walking. And I walk. I live in the desert, so it's hotter than Hades here right now. So I'm not outside all that much, but I walk around the house.
There you go.
And I if it isn't working, I take a step back. I try not to really push it, because
Right.
if you're pushing it, it shows in your writing.
It really does. And I'm the same way. I just remove myself. And I'll go like you. I'll go for a hike, or I'll go, on the lake and do kayaking or whatever. But I just remove myself from everything. And if it takes an hour, if it takes a day, then so be it. But you can't force it. You're exactly right.
I haven't really had what they call writer's block per se, but I have had a couple of things where I finished a chapter and I had absolutely no idea what to do next. And I sat there and said, uh-oh, now what? And the characters kind of came in and saved my bacon. And they got a little.
I mean, it sounds
we have a love-hate relationship, I think.
I get irritated with some of my characters. I do. And I get frustrated with them, and they lead me in a direction that I didn't even see coming, but it's their story I'm telling. So I just tell their story. I don't try and force. I tried it once. It didn't work. And you talk about what you're going to write with your next chapter. You get stuck sometimes. And I'm finding myself right now, and I'm going to just give this out real quick. But I just finished a book that's coming out in August, Secrets Told. It's a standalone. Prior to the standalone, all of my books have been series or trilogy. And I knew right away what I was going to be writing. Book 2, I knew what it was going to be about. The characters are talking to me, blah, 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 blah. The standalone is done. There is not a book 2. There is not a book 3. It's done. But for the last year, before I wrote Secrets Told, I've had the series in my head. And I'm still waiting. I got 2 characters now talking to me. I had one about a year ago, but now I have 2. And I have not written anything since I finished Secrets Told. I have been busy with the edits and the cover and blah, 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 blah. But I need to start writing again. I finished Secrets Told in, I think, April, around April, end of April. I think it's end of April, end of March. Readers will tell me. So it's been a couple of months. So I'm still waiting for these characters, but they're starting to show up.
Well, I think it's a good idea to just take a step back and wait, because they will come. Now,
yeah, and they are starting to come. There's this one character that has been talking to me almost a year now, almost a year. And I kind of know about her, but now this other one, and these 2 other, there's 2 main characters in the books. So the other one is starting to show up. But I just love how when you start a new book or series, I'm going on a little bit too much than I wanted to, how the story starts to unfold before you can start writing.
Well, I think that we have some commonality, even though we might come from diametrically different beginnings. I think that our thought process is sort of the same.
Mm-hmm.
I have found that, oddly enough, showing a swimsuit line is the same thing as telling a story. It has a beginning, a middle, an end, and a point of view. Once I figured that out, writing the story was a snap. So right now I'm doing something very different. I actually queried some of the folks here a few months ago. I had this idea of a series prequel of my protagonist in high school. And she is a reporter on the school newspaper. And there's a murder. And I just started writing it. The first book is called The Case of the Croaked Coach, because the football coach is getting killed. And I love the idea of it, because there are a couple of characters in my series now that the protagonist knew from when she was a kid, and they're in this book now. And it's fun. It's actually me in high school,
fun.
but
it is fun. I really love I call it waiting. I mean, because I do not plot any of my books, and to be honest, I wouldn't know how to. I really wouldn't. So I have to wait, because I'm telling my character's story. And like I said, one is already, I pretty much know where she's going. Now the other one is starting to tell me hers. But I went on a little too long about that, but I just saw the similarities and wanted to mention it, because you're totally, totally right about that.
Well, one thing your characters definitely tell you what they have in mind.
They really do. And if you try to fight them, they'll let you know too.
Yeah, mine are not too shy. I can't imagine why.
Renee has.
I don't know where they get it from.
I don't know either. Renee's asking, have you ever had to go back and change a book when you're almost finished with it?
Yes. This book. Originally, it was more an indictment of this terrible man, and he gets killed at the end. And I went, ugh, and completely rewrote it. And now he shows up dead in the very first paragraph. So I definitely rewrote an entire book. I thank God it's never happened again. But yeah, I did.
That would devastate me. I mean, I don't even like chopping out paragraphs. I mean,
yeah, well,
I couldn't do it. Well, if you have to do it, you have to do it. You know, but oh my God, that's your baby.
It
Well, it
was
was.
it was a challenge and terrifying at the same time. But when your gut tells you you don't want to turn this one into the editor, it didn't
Yeah.
feel right.
You go with
It
your
felt
gut.
right as I was writing it, but when
Uh-huh.
I read it and got to the end, I went, "Who wants to read this?"
Yeah, you got to go with your
They
gut.
want to murder, and I learned early on that in this genre, my bloodthirsty readers, they want a dead body as soon as possible. You can't go really past 50 pages before you produce the stiff.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I don't write cozy mysteries, but I read them, and that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah,
In fact,
that's
here's a good question I want to pop up. Would you change your pre-plotted ending upon the strong demand of your characters?
it depends. If they present a really good case, maybe.
Uh-huh.
Most of the time, I got to say no
Yeah.
and the
Like you
reason I
said, you're
say
still
no
in
is
charge. You're still the boss.
yeah, and the reason I would say no most of the time is because they're very self-serving, these characters, and they all want to be the hero at the end, and sometimes they can't be.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. This has been a fabulous chat and very humorous. I loved your live read. Just
Thank you.
But I do want to start winding down. But I do want to put this up real quick from Renee. She says, rewriting the whole book, but I am sure it was better the second time. Thank you for answering my question.
Well, I'd like to think it was better the second time, please God, because I rewrote the whole darn thing. But that would be terrible. Gee, why didn't you keep the old one? Bam!
Right? I hear you. I hear you. But I always ask my authors the very last question. And the question is, what advice would you give to an aspiring writer that wants to publish their books?
Right before I published a book, I had the privilege of listening to a lecture from Harlan Coben. And he was very nice, and he, at the end, signed books. And he asked me if I was an author. And I said, well, I'm a fledgling writer. I said, do you have any advice? And he said, yes. He said, no matter what, keep writing, keep writing, keep writing. Never let anybody step on your dreams. And most of all, never stop asking what if.
Good advice. Very good. I love that. Very good.
And that is the advice that I would give anybody. Believe
Excellent.
in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has a story to tell. If you go to the mall and sit in the food court and just people watch, or go to the airport and people watch in the waiting area, you could have 50 books by the time you got on the plane.
Yeah, you can easily.
Everybody has a story.
Yeah.
But it takes guts to do this. And it's a lonely job because it's you sitting there typing away.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you got to believe in yourself. You have to have confidence in yourself.
You do. And you have to grow a tough skin. You really
Oh my
do.
gosh, yes.
You have to grow a tough skin because you're going to experience someone that did not enjoy your books. And that's okay. That is totally okay, because that's why there's so many genres out there and there's so many books out there. And your book is not for everybody, including everybody, all authors. And you have to learn to grow a tough skin and just keep moving forward. Just keep moving forward.
True. Do you read all your reviews?
No.
No?
No.
I
I
read
did in
every
the
one.
beginning. I did in the beginning, but now I have 15 books out. So I can't keep up with the reviews that come in. I will spend some time and say, oh, I haven't read reviews on Jill lately. Because when a new book comes out, of course, that's the one I'm paying attention to. That's the reviews I'm looking at. But all the other books that are out, like Jill, came out, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. I'm sure there's reviews in there that I have not read yet. And I will go and read them. Oh, I haven't read any Jill's books, but concentrate on the reviews for a new book is what I do. That's what I do. So
I read them. And I have them categorized by good, bad, and indifferent. So if I'm really feeling down, I only read the good ones.
there you go. Good reviews. I mean, yeah, I have my down days. I do. And you have to be, weigh the good with the bad. And there's more good than bad. That's what there is. The giveaway.
Yes.
You are doing a generous giveaway, and I do want to hand it over to you to tell the readers what that is, or they are.
Okay. I have two, actually. One is a electronic copy of Death by Sample Size, which is my award-winning debut novel. And the other one is, I'm going to have to describe it to you because I don't have it here, but coming from the swimwear business, I created a swimsuit guide. It's a very funny guide, honestly.
Okay.
But you would expect that by the end of this hour, I would imagine. And it is a guide that originally started out, my customers asked for it. But I used it in marketing my first 3 books. And I got such a great response, I've started giving it away.
Oh, sweet.
And it describes different body types. And you just plug in, I'm tall, I'm short, I got big boobs, I'm flat as a board, I got no ass. I mean, whatever it is, that's pretty much the way the book talks. So, you know.
Right. Oh, very cool. And you would send that to them via email?
Email, yes. And for the Death by Sample Size, I can either do a PDF or I can do an EPUB if they have an electronic reader.
Okay.
And for the Fit Guide, I can do a PDF or I can do a link.
Okay, what we'll do is I'll go ahead and pick the winners after the chat so I can see all the feeds. I will announce it in the group and on my author page, 2 winners, 1 for each. And then I will have them reach out to you via Messenger. Is that okay? And you can converse with them on what format they want, however you want to do it. Does that work out? Is that
Yeah.
good? Okay, perfect. And I would tag you when I announce the winners. And then I have my giveaway also, which is the Amazon $5 gift card. And I think you're all on my author page because we can no longer do this in my group. So from the author page, if you could share this video and tag me, so I know you shared it, and you will be entered in the drawing for the $5 Amazon gift card. Susie, this was a fun chat. I really enjoyed it.
I had a blast.
Really
thank you so much,
Oh,
Tina, and thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody who asked questions and participated. It is just a real thrill to see so many people interested in me and my books. Thank you again.
It was very, and I know I didn't get to a lot of the questions. If you go to my author page, you'll see them underneath the video. Feel free to go in and answer questions if you have time. But I know there's a lot of questions I didn't get to because the chat was just so much fun. But readers, thank you as always for being here. Thank you for your great questions, and I'll announce the winners in a couple of hours. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you, Susie.
Thank you.
Good night. Good night, everybody.